Oh boy, another poorly lit, grainy video. Yeah, we'll see how well this one goes over. Oh yeah, he looks a little worse for wear. Yeah, I shouldn't trust this guy. Oh, and he's just a schizophrenic, right? Yeah, MK Ultra makes you into a schizophrenic, or makes you seem as though you're a schizophrenic. Basically, schizophrenia is not an actual condition. It's all this stuff orchestrated by the wicked of the earth. In this country, it's it's called the deep state, or the people with connections to the CIA. The CIA developed all these techniques back in the 1950s, and before then, it was just a bunch of it was criminals, who then were recruited by the OSS, to run black operations during World War II. And of course you had other folks in the OSS, who were not criminals, but learned men of science, and et cetera, and scholars and gentlemen, and certainly, today, yes, there are elements of the CIA that are trying to track down, people running eugenics operations and so on, practicing child abuse and satanic rituals and all this shit. And whose great great thrill in life is the construction of mind-controlled slaves, which is they see as being the ultimate technology, because you can do anything with them, and you can accomplish anything. It's interesting, all these different spooks I've talked to, and every single one of them was raised, from a very early age. They're made into a little operator. They did all kinds of things. They recall, poisoning, their father's business competitor or something. Like nobody would ever suspect. But they'd been programmed, just to be able to, easily do that. And he was a bad guy, he was a bad man. They were, they're just getting rid of him. Wasn't anything, I'll talk to you because, you're MK Ultra, and, and you were in the Marine Corps, and, Anyway, I remember. Yeah, I think in this neighborhood I was in the South Hills of Springfield, I think that there were at least 3 families involved. I believe they were all part of the same little cult. Little criminal eugenics cult. Possibly involved in the production of methamphetamine. Springfield being the methamphetamine capital of the world. I think still to this day, I believe. I don't know. But so after the initial programming phase, and this all took place in the over the course of an afternoon, or rather like a mid-morning into afternoon, and then I think this all happened on the same day, perhaps, because I remember in the dusk, I was taken out of that house. We went up a ways. We went south up a ways, South 70th. Up this little rise. I think I was being carried, in the darkness. Yeah, and then I found I was going up my friend's gravel drive, and they're like, oh, they're debating on what drugs to put me on next for the next phase. Like, well, we want to do, it's just. And sure enough, I don't know what they did. Did they inject me, or they had me just eat something? They had a great variety of different drugs, and I felt my consciousness shift. I mean, I guess the LSD was wearing off a little bit. Um, and yeah, but I was still, I was able to understand what was going on then. Yeah, I'd got a good handle on things. And I recounted that whole situation in the last video. You know, but then after that, you know, I think they just put me on a sedative and said, oh man, he's all tuckered out. They returned me to my parents. Oh, he's all tuckered out, and what are you gonna say anyway? You just want to distance yourself from the whole thing. And yeah, the next day, I remember being really beside myself and feeling like I was really. I don't know. It all blurs together. See, they just kind of. I mean, they must have gotten a hold of me quite a few times, and it was just fairly easy. You know. So it's a gradual process, is what I'm trying to get at. You know. And anyway, so that's how it's done, folks. You know. That's how it's done. So it must have been a few weeks later when one afternoon I was playing with my friend over in his yard, and he said, oh, we should fight. It's just quite out of the blue. He said we should fight. My father says, we need to figure out which one's the strongest. You know, and I thought to myself, oh, so maybe his father was behind the whole situation where everybody, all the kids in the neighborhood, were fighting each other. You know, maybe he was the one. Maybe it began with him. And then I somehow had this vision of him with some other fathers in the neighborhood, and they were they had come to an agreement about the kind of thing that they should do, and I don't know. There was this little conspiracy I was imagining. And then it was like, then all of a sudden, my friend just, quite, he just attacks me, and I fend him off. He manages to land a, punch. He manages to punch me in the chest, and I do a side kick, and it doesn't impact solidly, and suddenly I just end up kind of pushing him away. He comes after me again, and I just fend him off, and then I said, I don't know why we should fight, and so I run, I take off running into the dusk. I go to I cross over into my own property, and I'm thinking to myself, oh, you know what, oh, I guess we're not friends anymore, Oh, well, good. There seems to be some weird, weird things about him and his family, and I don't think I should be involved with these people anymore. I couldn't quite put my finger on it though, But I don't know. I see him some days later or a week later, and he's got this big smile on his face, and it's like it never happened. And hey, do you want to come with us and do this? And I said, well, I guess so. You know, so that's how it goes, guys. It's just a total psyop all the time, and you know. So yeah, you know, oh, I don't want to foster paranoia, but there's all kinds of people out there in this world, all kinds of people, you know, very complex world. You should be aware of that.